Aloha, everyone. This is Nicki Keohohou, CEO and co-founder of the Direct Selling World Alliance and Coach Excellence School. Welcome to the Network Marketing Magazine section on listening. When George asked me to do something on listening, I was so excited because through our Coach Excellence School, we teach heart-centered listening. And this is a very high level of listening. Most people don't listen the same way. We don't listen to hear and to understand. Many people listen so they know what they're going to say next, and that isn't the same. So in heart-centered listening, you are 100% present with people. It's the gift that you're giving them, is your presence. What a beautiful thing to be present with people. During the last few months, we've had, the COVID going on and a lot of isolation for people. So people aren't totally feeling heard. They don't feel that people understand completely what they're going through. So for all of us, it's taking the time to really hear people, not to hear so we know what to say next or we can say or whatever we want to say, but to hear to understand, to hear to be of service to someone else. That's the kind of listening that we're talking about here. Now, there's a big difference between internal listening and heart-centered listening. Internal listening, the focus is on ourselves. We're waiting for our turn to talk. What does that look like? Sort of like, speed it up, honey. That kind of thing is happening. So not very effective. Heart-centered listening, we're focused on the speaker. It's like you have on blinders. All else is blocked off. You can only see that person and hear them. You're 100% present. Internal listening is listening to our inner voice, what we're wanting to say. We might be thinking, oh, this person's never going to buy anything. Look at those shoes she's wearing. Or, oh, I know this person is not going to, come into business. I can just tell they're not going to do it. So we got our internal voice going on with what we're thinking. So we're not present with people. You can't be when you have that internal voice happening. So listening to our own inner voice. The heart-centered listening is listening to the speaker's words, and the big part, the meaning behind those words. What is the meaning behind those words? When your heart is open, you can hear things differently and understand people differently. When we're in internal listening, we're making judgments or forming opinions. That's like in our inner voice, does that to us. We're making judgments or forming opinions. People know when you're judgmental. And in coaching, there's no room for judgment. It doesn't show up. No judgment. With heart-centered listening, we're understanding the speaker's words, their feelings, and their needs. You're listening to those words. I'm feeling isolated, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling alone, or I'm feeling stressed. You're going to understand them differently. And if you don't know what that means, to say, well, what does stress look like to you? Or what do you think might be causing that stress? Those are your next questions. With internal listening, we're waiting impatiently for the speaker to finish their sentence, or we finish it for them. How many of you have had people that you have had finish your sentences? Have you noticed that? When you speak more in logic and at a more moderate pace, the people that talk really fast like to finish the sentence for you. You don't even get a chance to finish it. It's very disrespectful. In heart-centered listening, we're patiently waiting for the speaker to fully express themselves. We're on pause. It's centered. We're not talking. And we're not saying, would you speed it up, honey? We're just present. Just think about how you value people when you practice heart-centered listening. Opposite of that is devalue. You don't want to be internal listening. We're devaluing people. In internal listening, we're interpreting from our own experience and perspective. Oh, I understand how you feel. I felt the same way. And what I found is this. So guess what? Feel, felt, found is dead. People know they have been feel, felt, founded. So get that out of your vocabulary. Don't make it what you think. Oh, I know just how you feel. They're probably thinking, you don't know how I feel. So don't say that. So with heart-centered listening, we're unattached to our own perspective, our own experience. Well, what I would do is, or how I would handle that is not part of it. In internal listening, we're assuming our advice as needed, and we have the solution. We are the fix-it queen or king. You come to us, and we tell you what you need to do. We have the answers. You're broken, and you don't know your own answer. So let me just tell you what you need to do. And by the way, when we're saying you need to, you should, you have to, what we're really saying is you're not smart enough to figure this out for yourself. Not good. With DSWA heart-centered listening, we're trusting that the speaker has the best answer or solution for themselves. They know. Guess what? An internal listening creates no real communication or no real connection with people. In fact, they're generally on the defensive and they really think you don't care, so they kind of stop talking. Not good. Heart-centered listening creates trust, connection, honor, and validation. Now I'm going to say something to everybody. This isn't just for your business. This is for your life. When your teenager comes to you and says, Dad, can I talk to you? And you go, sure, let me just finish this. Or, okay, go ahead and talk to me while you're over there on the keyboard. You're not being present with them. So they don't talk, or they don't tell you what they're really thinking. Stop what you're doing. Look at them, be present with them, and say, I'm here. So what do you want to talk about? And whatever that is, you don't fix it. You don't tell them what to do. Teenagers run the other direction. In case any of you remember, maybe you had a boyfriend and you told your parents you really like this person. They said he's a loser. And so guess what? You just ran towards them. So we don't want this for our teenagers. We don't want it for our team. Let's get the practice of heart-centered listening. It's a concentrated effort. It's one skill. And once you start doing this, people will open up to you and tell you anything. I started really practicing this on airplanes. People don't jump. There's no place for them to go, especially on Southwest. It's only 2.5 hours, so they can handle it. I just ask a question about them and I really listen. And that's where I practice. And I didn't bring the conversation back to me. If I had a question, it had something to do with what they said, but it wasn't about me. See, listening is about that other person, nothing to do with us. So ask yourself this question right now. Have I been an internal listener? Is that how I show up in the world? Would I choose to be a heart-centered listener? I hope so. Practice. Practice with your partner. Practice with your children. Practice with your team. And right now, more than ever, we've got this virus going on. People are feeling isolated. They're feeling alone. They don't feel heard. They aren't even talking to people. Some people in our space, in the direct selling space, they don't even pick up the phone because they don't want to bother people. When in reality, some people are just so lonely, they would love to have a care call from you. Call because you care. Get a big old sticker and put it on your phone. And I call because I care. Because when you call people, and I just want to know how you're doing, what's the best thing that's happening in your life right now? Or what one thing is going really well in your life right now? Oh, I'm really cooking. I haven't cooked in a long time, and now I'm cooking nice meals for my family. Let them be there for a minute and take that moment of feeling good. And when someone says, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm feeling like I'm lost, I don't know what to do, I'm paralyzed, whatever that they say, listen to what they say and don't discount it. And don't try and move them into business really fast. So if they say, I'm feeling isolated, what is in your control that you could do that would make you feel connected with more people? You see, questions are the answer, but you don't know what questions to ask till you listen to what they've said. There are 5 levels of listening. 5. Remember these and figure out where you've been in the past and where you choose to be in the future. First level of listening is ignoring. This is sometimes those teenagers. That's not a good thing. And when you ignore people, what would make them want to come back and talk to you? When you're too busy for them, when you're multitasking, you know, when you're on Zoom, but they see you looking over here and over there and going everywhere. So ignoring is not listening. Then we have pretend listening. This is what pretend listening looks like. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. But there's nothing going on. If you're on the telephone, uh-huh, 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 flush. They know something else was going on, not good. Or the dishwasher goes off, or your pots and pans, whatever. Pretending is not real listening. It's just making that person think that you're listening. When you ask a question that has nothing to do with what they just said, or when somebody says, you know, I'm really feeling isolated. Well, you know, I'm having fun. I'm calling this a staycation. There's a lot of great things going on in my life. I didn't really hear what you said. I made it all about me. Not the same. Third level, selective listening. We hear what we want to hear. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but it might sound like this. The person says, well, I'd really like to join the business, but I have a full-time job, 10 kids. I'm also doing a part-time job, and I've got no money. And you go, well, to get started, here's what you need to do. You heard what you wanted to hear. The one little line was, well, I'd like to join the business. Then the big word, but, and all the reasons why not. You didn't address anything that they said. Selective listening. Attentive listening. Now, this used to be the highest level of listening. You truly were paying attention to that person. Generally, with attentive listening, you bring it back around to yourself, an autobiographical response. That is not effective listening if you bring it back to you. It's the focus stays on the other person. They're the only one in the world. When you make people feel like that, wow, they feel special, they feel valued. So attentive listening is all about them. And now you know a little bit about heart-centered listening and what's different, but that's the highest level of listening. Where can you practice this? When can you practice this? When will you commit to doing this skill with your heart? Now, when you're on the phone with people, sometimes we're up here in our head. So just do this, put your hands on your head and just tap at your brain for a minute, move your hands to your heart, tap your heart. Now, you can't do that when you're with people. They think you're strange. So if they can see you, you can't do that. But a lot of times I'll wear a necklace like I'm today, and I'll just hold the necklace near my heart, just so I stay in my heart. But I don't see everything else going on around me. I see you. And even sometimes on the phone, I'll just close my eyes and I see your face. Whatever it takes for you to slow it down and to slow your mind down. I know some of you have a very fast brain and you're thinking about what you're going to say next. No, just let them fully express themselves. Have that precious pause after they've expressed themselves, and then ask the question, whatever that next question may be. It just makes such a difference. And by the way, with your loved ones, they're so happy they have you back. They know you're with them. You're not moving so fast. You know, I have a saying I've had for 100 years. Well, I'm not that old, but 100 years was how, you know, it is how, slow down so you can speed up. Nicki, how can you slow down in this moment so I can speed up? That's what self-coaching is. Pretty special thing when you learn how to do these. Now, I've talked a lot about self-coaching, talked a lot about listening. When are you going to implement this? Where will you start? With who will you start? If you're interested in learning more about the Coach Excellence School and learning more about listening, as well as empowering questions for others, as well as how to acknowledge people, how to move them to agreed action and accountability, how to give compassionate feedback to people versus opposite constructive criticism, you know, check out DSWA.org. You can go to /events and you'll see all the events we have coming up. including a online coach school that we're going to be launching. So take a look and start practicing now. I wish I could see you right now and see how this might have impacted you to think about listening in a different way. Give that gift to the people you love. Give that gift to your family. And give that gift to yourself, to not always have to multitask, just to be present with people and watch how they notice it. And they'll say things like, "Thank you for listening to me." You're listening to hear and to understand. And when you do that, you'll be amazed at how people come to you to share their life, their stories, their truth. And guess what? They'll stop saying what they think you want to hear and speak their truth. Have a great, great month, year, and go after it. Now's the time to be the best you can be, and listening is a big part of being the best you can be. Take care and aloha.